Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS NBA Thursday. Just 4 games on the board as far as Wednesday night. The good news, I'm 2-0. Both my bets that have finished have cashed. The bad news is the other 2 games I bet aren't looking good. I mean, Rockets blew a lead. I doubt Rockets -7 is going to cash. And then the Jazz are down. Well, the Jazz is still early, so we'll see what happens with the Jazz. But Rockets not looking good. So as of right now, I'm 2-0. But by the time you're watching this, I'll probably be 2-2. But anyway, Thursday, 4 games. Let's go.
Yo, update. So Lauri Markkanen just shot a 3 at the buzzer to give me a Jazz backdoor cover. So I ended up having a winning night. I went 3-2. Didn't get the Jazz money line, but I got the +3. So, all right. We'll take a winning Wednesday night here. Yeah, NBA Thursday, 4 games.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
First up, we got Boston on the road in D.C. to play the Wizards. Washington catching 12.5 points at home. Total sitting at 234.5 or 233.5, depending on your sports book. Let's take a look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we got a pretty solid lean on the Boston side to win the game, 11.4 to 107.0. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we're looking at 117.4 for Boston, 107.0 for the Wizards. So let's get into this matchup. Obviously, we know what Boston did to the Knicks in the opener. Can we handicap the Celtics to be shooting 70% from three-point and hitting 30 of them every single night? Of course not, but it's certainly a little worrisome here. In this matchup, on paper, we're looking at one of the best offenses in the NBA against one of the worst defenses in the NBA. If we're looking at last year's stuff, the good news for Washington would be their glaring weakness defensively was protecting the rim. I mean, it was just an all-you-can-eat buffet at the rim whenever you played the Washington Wizards. They were terrible protecting the basket, and Boston doesn't attack the rim. So if we were looking at last year's stuff, we could say, hey, maybe not a bad matchup for the Wizards. Celtics take a lot of threes. That plays into their strength defensively. But this is not the same Washington Wizards team as we were looking at last year. They added some size. Valanciunas at the 5. They also drafted Alex Sarr. So we are now looking at a Wizards front court that may not just get bodied every single game. In fact, they might be able to even compete down low. It's the opener. We'll have to wait and see, but if you're a Wizards fan, you gotta like the moves they made in the offseason. And you know what? This isn't actually a terrible matchup for the Wizards. If they had one strength last year, was defending the three-point shot. Against the above-the-break 3, they were 7th in efficiency, 3rd in frequency. They didn't let you get those shots off, and that's all Boston does. 1st in frequency, 4th in efficiency. I'm not going to make the mistake of saying Washington can limit Boston's three-point shooting. I tried saying that about the Knicks, and obviously kind of went the other way there, but on paper, Washington should be able to give Boston some problems in terms of getting those outside shots up. So maybe the Wizards are able to put up some sort of fight on the defensive end, but on the other side of the court, I just don't know where the points are coming from for the Wizards. I mean, this is a Washington team that loved to run the fast break last year, 4th in frequency, 9th in efficiency. They were actually pretty good at it. Boston led the NBA in defensive efficiency and transition. So I don't know if those fast break opportunities are going to be there against the Celtics. And then if you just pull up the Wizards, the 4 factors, Wizards offense versus Celtics defense, where are the points coming from here? I mean, maybe they're improved in the offensive rebounding department with Valanciunas and Alex Sarr, but Boston's a great defensive rebounding team. They're going to get 0 trips to the foul line. Again, we're looking at last year's numbers, and this is a new look Wizards team, so maybe this team looks a lot different this year, but based on what we're dealing with, kind of hard to make a case for the Wizards in this one. Also, considering they were much better on the road. That being said, Boston in the last 2 seasons laying 10+ on the road, just 6-10-1 against the number. So historically, this would be a spot you want to take the points with the Wizards. In their home opener, I guess I'll say Washington plus the 13 or plus the 12.5, but very slim chance I actually bet this one. Let's move on to the next game, which is Spurs, Mavericks in Dallas. Dallas laying 7.5 points at home. Total sitting at 229.5, it looks like. Take a look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we're looking at 111.2 for the Mavs, 106.3 for the Spurs. So obviously, this is the opener for both these teams, and both these teams made some moves. Chris Paul, obviously running point for the Spurs. Devin Vassell's out to start the year, which sucks because I think in San Antonio, they have some pretty high hopes for this season with Wemby in his 2nd year. They brought in Harrison Barnes. They also added Stephon Castle from UConn in the draft. Things are looking up for the Spurs, but this is a tough matchup on the road in Dallas. And speaking of teams that have some high hopes, I mean, this Mavs team added Klay Thompson, Spencer Dinwiddie. Who cares about Spencer Dinwiddie? But brought in Najee Marshall. Should be a really nice piece off the bench. This is another team that has some really high hopes for this season. They're thinking championship or bust, this Dallas team. Look, I'm not going to place a bet on this game. I really want to take the Spurs, though. I think they can play Dallas tough. Spurs, towards the end of the season there, on the road as dogs, they were covering left and right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-3 against the spread in their last 11 as road dogs. So, I mean, they were covering as road dogs down the stretch last season. They're also playing some pretty good defense on the perimeter against the three-point shot. That's what Dallas wants to do offensively. So I think this Spurs team is a tough matchup for Dallas, but this Mavs team might be really good, and I don't want to throw a dart in this opener. We'll have to see how these teams look. It'll be Spurs plus 7.5 or pass for me. Next game. Oklahoma City on the road in Denver. Probably the best game of the week here. Nuggets laying 2.5 points at home. Total sitting at 225.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we got Oklahoma City winning outright here. 111.3 to 110.3 for Denver. Pretty much looking at the same Oklahoma City lineup with the addition of Alex Caruso in place of Josh Giddey. So added some perimeter defense, which was the weakness of their team last year. So they added the right piece. Losing Giddey is definitely going to hurt in some areas, but overall, you'd have to say this team is stronger with Caruso on the perimeter defending. And on the other side, this Denver team not looking great in terms of depth. Obviously, still got Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown. Starting five looks great. One of the best starting fives in the NBA. But in terms of depth, I mean, you got Russell Westbrook going to be logging serious minutes. Dario Saric is in there. Strother is pretty good. I mean, in terms of depth, I don't know how much I love this Denver Nuggets team. So let's take a look at this matchup. And this is one of the few openers that we actually can take a look at because the teams are so similar. They didn't go through any dramatic changes. I mean, Caruso bringing in for Oklahoma City, but the main pieces are the same. Denver Nuggets looking at the same sort of team, so I expect to see the same sort of play from these teams. Oklahoma City was top 5 defensively and offensively last year. Check out what I found here. Denver last year against top 5 defenses, just 5-7 against the number, 4-8 to the under, and then check this out. Against top 5 offenses, 5-5 against the number, 1-10 to the under. So when Denver plays good teams, usually stays under the total. 4-8 to the under against top 5 defenses, 1-10 to the under against top 5 offenses. So a nice lean towards the under before we get started. A potential prop in this game, maybe look towards Oklahoma City's three-point shooters, maybe look towards their under. Denver does not let you take three-point shots against them. Last season, they were 2nd and 4th in frequency above the break and corner. Just 36% of Denver Nuggets' opponent shot attempts came from 3, one of the lowest in the NBA. They put a lot of pressure on the perimeter. They do not let you take threes on them. They want to force you inside to take contested shots on the interior. So maybe look towards an Oklahoma City three-point shooters under, maybe Lou Dort, a name that pops into my head. As far as the Nuggets offensively, this is going to be tough because Oklahoma City on defense is so well-rounded. The weak spot was three-point shooting last year, but not only did they add Caruso, but Denver doesn't take three-point shots. 27th in above the break frequency, 24th in corner 3 frequency. Denver is not a three-point shooting team. They take a lot of mid-range shots and they take a lot of shots at the rim. That plays directly into the strength of Oklahoma City's defense. They were actually first in the NBA in defensive efficiency at the basket. So this OKC defense may be equipped to give Denver some problems. Now, one area, if you do like the Nuggets, you're looking right here. Offensive rebounding between Jokic and Aaron Gordon could be a problem for Oklahoma City because that was one of the weaknesses of the team last year was defensive rebounding. Struggled to keep teams off the offensive glass, and Denver was 6th in offensive rebounding rate last year. So there's an angle for Denver if you're trying to play the Nuggets here. Personally, I like the angles towards the under. I took Denver team total under 113.5. I think this Oklahoma City defense has potential to be the best in the NBA this year. I also think the Nuggets are going to do whatever they can to keep the pace slow in this game. Denver knows they could beat anyone in the NBA, especially at home, if they force them to play half-court basketball. Oklahoma City wants to get out and run. So I think Denver's going to take any opportunity they can to slow this game down, which should help keep it under the total. But yeah, I think OKC could be one of the best defenses in the NBA. So I took Denver's team total under. If you force me to pick a side, I guess I'd lean towards OKC, but really don't like to make a habit out of fading the Nuggets at home, even though Minnesota beat them 3 times in Denver to finish out the season. But yeah, just give me Denver team total under 113.5. Next game, Minnesota on the road at Sacramento. Kings are laying 1 point at home, total sitting at 227.5. Take a look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we're looking at 109.8, 106.7 in favor of the Kings. So let's take a look at this new Kings lineup, pretty much the same as last year's with the addition of DeMar DeRozan, who takes the place of Harrison Barnes, which is a huge addition. I don't want to downplay it, but in terms of the type of play we could expect to see from the Kings, I expect them to look pretty similar to last year. So what happened with the Timberwolves in their opener against the Lakers? What a weird game. So first of all, Minnesota turned the ball over 16 times, which was a problem of theirs last year. Turnovers were a problem, so that shouldn't shock us. The weird part, LA Lakers, 5 of 30 from outside, 5 of 30. So if the Lakers shots were falling, that loss could have been even uglier. So definitely not the best showing for Minnesota to start the season. Not to mention, Sacramento can shoot the outside shot. At least they could last year. They shot a lot of them. They weren't the most efficient, pretty middle of the pack in terms of three-point efficiency. But in terms of firing, they took a lot of them. 43% of the Kings shot attempts last year came from beyond the arc. So hopefully Minnesota's able to keep that three-point percentage super low like they did against the Lakers, or things could get ugly. Now, Minnesota did have a top 10 three-point defense last year, so maybe they were just playing great defense on the perimeter. Overall, though, I'd have to say it was the Minnesota offense that lost them that game against the Lakers, more so than the defense. The offense here in this matchup against the Kings, I think they'll be able to get into the interior here. Kings actually play decent defense at the basket, but in terms of shots in the paint, short jump shots, Sacramento really struggles there. Minnesota takes a lot of those shots, so I don't think Minnesota should have any problem getting to the interior on this one. And they also should have no problem getting to the free throw line. They were 5th in free throw rate last year. Sacramento was 25th. So I expect Minnesota's offense to bounce back here against a Kings defense that isn't great. Also, Minnesota was very profitable in this spot last year. 11-3 straight up and 9-5 against the number. That's after losing outright as a favorite, which is what happened in the Lakers game. They were favored in the game. They lost outright last year in spots such as that. They were 11-3 straight up and 9-5 against the number. So I will be playing Minnesota here to get back to 500 and beat the Kings. Give me the T-Wolves in this one. If you'd like to see all the bets I currently have open, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on Open Bets. You'll see all mine as well as everyone else on the staff here. Also, if you sign up to Sauce Network Plus, it comes with access to the Discord, and you can participate in the weekly betting league. $150 on one of these trophies go to the winner every single week. So if you're interested, head over to the website and sign up. Let's have ourselves a nice NBA Thursday here. Please remember to bet responsibly. It's still early in the season. If you need me, hit me up in the Discord.